Good evening, one and all, and many greetings of peace and love to each one gathered online. I'm Jyotika, and I welcome you all to this enlightening evening. We have many things in our possession which we keep upgrading. We have mobiles, tabs, and other technological instruments which we upgrade constantly. And when we travel, we upgrade the class of travel. So there are many things that need improvisation in our lives. However, what about upgrading the one who is using all these? And we know that once upgraded, things not only become compatible to current situations, but there is also ease and comfort of experiences. So, how do I upgrade myself? What is the technique or method of doing that? Is there a button to click on? What internal things do I need to bring that improvement in the quality of my living? Today's session will give insights on all these. We have our keynote speaker, Yogesh Sharda, with us to throw light on many aspects of the topic. And I'm sure many of you have been pulled by the topic how to upgrade yourself. This event is being jointly organized by Raj Yoga Center Dubai, UAE, the Meditation Space TMCC Dubai, Raj Yoga Center for Self-Development, Muscat, Oman, Doha Meditation Space, Doha, Qatar. And we have a very well-known, renowned speaker with us today to speak on today's topic, the Yogesh Sharda. He is a personal development trainer, workshop facilitator, and senior meditator. He is born in Malawi, Africa, with an Indian background and brought up in London, UK. He has presented hundreds of seminars, workshops, courses for business and universities, hospitals, youth organizations, and many other local community groups in Europe, UK, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Australasia, Americas, the Caribbean, and India. He has addressed variety of topics of self-development, some of them being team building, decision making, anger management, appreciative inquiry, etc. The programs are held for Microsoft, Siemens, IBM, Adidas, Barclays Bank, only to name a few from many organizations who have benefited from Yogesh. And to me personally, he has been an immense source of inspiration. Some of the participants here tonight have already interacted with him, have already heard him because he has visited all the countries who are jointly organizing this session. I have had the fortune of being with this amazing personality who is multifaceted, multi talented, yet very accessible and friendly. As human beings, we keep looking for personalities from whom we derive inspirations, and he has been one such source of inspiration for me personally, who is full of positivity and is the ocean of calmness and yet very, very light. Over to you, Brother Yogesh.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Big thanks to Jyotika Band for such a warm and generous introduction. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say now after such a pious and kind introduction. So thanks also to the centers in all the regions for inviting me to be with you. And I'm hoping some of the ideas which are shared will be practical for you and help you in your own day-to-day life. And as Sister Jyotika mentioned, that we are so used to having an upgrade with our toys of technology today, whether it's our mobile phones or laptops or any other form of technology. It seems to be part of everyday life now, and especially what we used to call as our mobile phones, of course, do much, much more than simply voice communication. They kind of carry our lives with them. And for some, they would rather lose a kidney than lose their mobile phone. It's that important to them. But yet, if technology can be upgraded, then the question does arise, what about me? What about you? What would you be like version 2.0? So can you imagine yourself as a better you? How would you be? How would you behave? How would you interact with the world? How would you deal with criticism, with failure, and so on? And so, in simple terms, I would say that one of the indicators that I am upgrading myself is that my peace comes into my own hands, and my happiness, I become the owner of my own happiness. If we were to ask people who owns your happiness, well, generally we'd like to say, I do. But when situations arise or there are people around you who are different to you in personality or in the way of behaving, we may find our happiness reducing. And so, what can we do to be in charge of our own inner worlds? And the thing is that the more my peace of mind is in my own hands, the more I am the owner of my happiness, the more useful I will be to all those who are around me. So this evening, I'd like to explore one or two ideas which can help us to look at how to make this personal upgrade. And indeed, I would also say that although we've called it an upgrade, it is in fact a return journey. The inner journey, the spiritual journey, is a return journey back to true wellness, back to inner peace. And over time, it does seem to me human beings have drifted away from what is truly natural to us, and that is our peace of mind, our capacity to love, our happiness, and so on. I have a few slides to show you as well, which I hope will help to demonstrate and illustrate some of the ideas. So let's start looking at some context, and let's talk about intelligence for a few moments. So, question: are you intelligent? Yeah. Now you can just answer that in your own mind. And here are three intelligences. One of them, of course, we are very well used to hearing about, and that's our IQ. And so intelligence quotient, that really refers to our rational intelligence, to do with reason, logic, analysis, and so on. And in simple terms, it's about how to deal with things, how to handle things, how to handle resources. And for many years, this was the only intelligence that people really talked about. It was a way to measure success in academic life and also in career. But this is no longer enough for successful living today. And let's have a look at the other ones now. Second one here, again, very popular now, and lots of books about this. and that's our emotional intelligence. And simply put, that is a measure of your ability to understand and manage your own emotions and how well you're able to manage and understand other people as well. If you can do the first, then you can do the second. If I'm able to manage my own emotions, then I'm able to adjust myself to handle different personalities who may come into my life, whether it's at home or it's at work. But if, for example, I cannot manage my own anger or my own fear or my own jealousy, then I would not be able to form a steady, a harmonious, a smooth relationship with other people. So it's another area we'll look at today to see where emotions come from and what can we do to take back control of our own emotions and stop living in the reaction zone. And then there's the third, which is sometimes described as a combination of the other two and the highest of all the intelligences. And that is our SQ, which stands for our spiritual intelligence. Now, again, there are no set definitions, but briefly, spiritual intelligence is concerned with two main things. One is to do with your sense of identity, and the other is to do with your sense of purpose in your life. Two huge issues. In simple terms, who am I and why am I doing whatever I am doing? Now, when one begins to explore these questions, it takes you to the very center of your consciousness. It takes you to the DNA of your soul. And people who do this work of exploring SQ and raising their SQ, I've noticed two signs in such people. One is they own their motivation. And in this regard, there are two types of motivation. One is what we may call as emotional motivation. And that's where you get motivated by external factors. For example, somebody praises you, makes you feel good, or your boss offers you more money, or a company car, or a bigger office. So external forms of motivation, which are quick acting. You get motivated very quickly, but they don't last very long. Emotional motivation. But then there's the other type of motivation, which is called inner motivation or spiritual motivation. And that motivation is not just for your job, it's for your life. Even if you fail in something, your motivation does not reduce because you know who you are and you know why you are doing what you're doing. If you've worked these two things out for yourself, then even if you fail in something, even if you fall short one day, you just redouble your efforts. You become even more focused to learn the lesson and keep moving along. You learn the art of talking to yourself. Now, let's look at this for a moment. What is the quality of your self-talk, your inner dialogue? Let's say, for example, you do fail at something. How do you talk to yourself? Do you remember the first thing that you failed at? Sister Jyotika, can you remember the first thing you failed at? You probably can't, but I think I know what it is for all of us. And I would say it is, when you try to walk as a baby, you must have fallen over 5 times, 50 times, many more times. But when you fell over, then what did the parents do? Yeah, some of you here are parents. The first time your baby fell over, you lift the child up again. And you say, okay, let's try again. Let's try again. Let's try again. Until the child learns to balance, learns to use the legs properly, learns to build the muscles, and therefore learns how to walk. Now, if the parent said something opposite the first time the child fell down, for example, baby falls on the floor, and parents say, this walking is not for you. Don't waste your time trying to walk. You are a failure at walking. Don't bother again. If the parent said this, then even as an adult, we'd still all be crawling on the floor. In the same way, your mind is like your child or your baby. And it's very important to learn to have a positive and constructive self-talk. We all fail at things, whether it's in terms of doing something or handling machinery, or even in relationships. You said something you shouldn't have said. You misunderstood another person, or you spoke in a disrespectful way. Okay, it's a mistake. So what I must do is 3 things. Quickly ask myself, what can I learn from this? What is the lesson for me here? So next time, I will do it differently. Secondly, give yourself permission to forget the situation. Do not keep reviewing it. Do not keep replaying the scene again and again in your mind. And number 3 is to move on. Carry the lesson with you, but forget the situation. This is what I observed in some senior meditators, senior yogis. They didn't waste time crying over the spilt milk. Even if they said or did something which maybe was not quite right, they didn't waste time feeling guilty. Now, why I say this is because I used to. I used to think too much and make myself feel heavy. And once one of the senior yogis, she said to me, why are you feeling heavy? There's something burdening you. I thought it was the right thing to do, to feel guilty. Then I realized that this is actually just suppressing my ability to be useful. And it's a habit I need to put into the trash. So part of upgrading myself is learning to build a positive inner dialogue, positive self-talk, accepting I made a mistake, don't deny it, accept it, use it as a vehicle to make me grow, to make me move forward. So this is one thing. Motivation is one of the signs of someone with high SQ. The second thing I noticed in such people with high spiritual intelligence is they have a deep-seated sense of contentment. Even if something does not work out according to plan. But they don't become a hostage to the situation. They and sometimes things take time. Sometimes you have to be patient for the results to come. What's important is to check myself. What was my attitude? Did I do things properly? Did I pay attention? And if I did that, let me be patient for the results to come. And so to check the self, do I own my motivation? And do I maintain my contentment even as I pass through adversity. Ultimately, you, the individual, you are greater, you are stronger than situations. Let me come to another slide here. Yeah. So I think you can see this. This really highlights one of the most useful things I was told when I was growing up in this study of spirituality. And it was this, that the way to deal with any adverse situation is to first stabilize yourself in your swaman, stabilize yourself in your self-respect, and then look at the situation. So what this diagram tells us here is, let's take scenario number 1 on the left. Here is you, and here is a problem. So a simple question, who is bigger? So obviously the problem is bigger than you. Let's look at scenario number 2. Here is the problem, but now here is you. So who's bigger now? You are bigger. But what has changed? Has the problem changed? Has the situation changed? Has the scenario changed? No, it's still the same. But why is this no longer a problem for you? Because you have grown. You have become stronger. You have evolved. Now, this may seem absurdly simple, but it is very, very, very important. It highlights the principle that before you try to find a solution to anything, first solve yourself. Do not solve a problem. First, solve yourself. Solve yourself means make your mind still. Experience that inner peace. Go to that core of yourself where there is truth, there is divinity, there is stillness. Then look at the situation and, okay, you may still see it as a problem, but now it's not a big problem anymore. And since it's not a big problem, you won't be afraid, you won't panic, you won't lose sleep over it, you won't have extra thoughts about it. And so this is another thing I've noticed in some, senior yogis. No matter what the situation is, you may go to them with something, so you consider to be serious, some issue, some major disaster. First thing they'll say is, "Shant ho jao, shant." Sit down, just sit down, be still. Now tell me, what's the situation? And in that being still, your own mind becomes quiet, and then your worry, your panic, your stress finishes, and you just, oh, this is the situation. And then, okay, do that. So another strategy for the upgrade, first be and then do. Let us come out of that zone of being so addicts to doing. First be, then do. Then when you get a moment, return to being again. Refresh yourself, and then come back to doing. So this practice of going from being to doing, helps you to recharge the battery of your mind. And if your mind is refreshed, if your mind is stable, if your mind is clear, then game over. What is the problem? It is said, is it not, that, for example, sports is a mind game, especially individual sports like tennis. Yeah? Sports psychologists will tell the tennis player, play the shot in your mind first, play the volley in your mind, do the serve in your mind, and then you can do it on the court. Business is a mind game. Politics is a mind game. Life is a mind game. So if I'm giving top priority to looking after my mind, if I'm talking nicely to my mind, if I'm giving space for my mind to be peaceful, life feels like a game. Life feels enjoyable, even the adversities. Not only will you pass through adversity, but you will grow through adversity. And I like to use the example of the intelligence we find in nature. Think, for example, of a beautiful, fragrant rose. How wonderful it is. What a beautiful fragrance it gives. But what may be given to the rose to make it grow? Yeah. Okay, you give water, it needs light, it needs certain uh, air, etc. But also, you may give some fertilizer. And how does fertilizer smell? Not very nice. Yeah? So we give something foul smelling to the rose, but it uses that to make itself grow. How smart, how intelligent nature is. So if life can grow if a flower can grow using fertilizer, what about us? So next time life throws fertilizer at you, what should you do? Should you throw it back and say, no thanks? Or can I ask myself, how can I grow through this? How will this make me stronger? What can I learn from this? How will this help me to mature? And so there is a thing, another principle of the upgrade. You cannot control what life is giving to you, but you can absolutely control how you choose to receive it. If I am consumed by what I don't like about life, I generate my own stress. If I am concerned with how I wish to receive it, I grow, I evolve, I mature. And so, where is the focus of my attention? Is it on what life is giving to me, or is it on how I choose to receive it? To be spiritually aware, to be spiritually smart, means to give attention to that. How I wish to receive this, that's my choice entirely. Let me just put something else up here and then ask you a question. And those who have been with me before for this particular exercise, if you can just observe for a moment. So here's a question. The question is, what do you see? Are people allowed to type in the box, or maybe somebody can tell me? Satvik. Somebody raised their hand. What do you see? All right, let me tell you a few of the answers which usually come. So some people say they see a storm. Some people say they see a thumbprint. Some people say they see a snail shell. Some people say they see a squiggly line. Some say they see a jalebi. Some say they see a cinnamon roll. All kinds of answers come. And yet, very rarely do people say, I also see lots and lots of available white, empty, open space as well. So what tends to happen is people's attention goes immediately to that image in the middle of the screen. But I did not ask, what is the image? I didn't ask what has been drawn. I asked, what do you see? So here's the principle, that when your eyes go immediately to that image, step one. Step two, all your creative thinking goes into what that image could be, what it could represent, what it might become. And so what you think about then influences how you feel, your emotional state. How you feel will drive how you behave, how you interact, the people you choose to have interaction and relationship with. And all of that creates your life, your reality, your world. 5 steps. What you see generates your thoughts, your creative thinking, drives your feelings, influences your behavior, creates your world. So if you want to upgrade your world, if you want to upgrade anything in your life, you have to start with changing the way you see things. Now, this was just a physical example using the eyes. But the point here is to do with the eye of the mind. As you go through day-to-day life, many things come in front of you. Some people are similar to you, some are different. You are praised, sometimes you are criticized, sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed, sometimes you're the center of attention, everybody wants to talk to you. Other times you are sidelined, you are excommunicated, you are ignored. All those things happen. But it's still your choice what you choose to see in that. And this really cannot be emphasized enough, as is the saying, Jaisi aapki drishti, vaisi aapki srishti. So for those who didn't get that, as is your vision, so is your world. Spirituality, in essence, is an upgrade in 2 things, your attitude and your vision. And part of spiritual training is knowing how to take care of these 2 things. Let's look further at another example of how to own your vision and own your attitude in order to make this internal upgrade. So I'm now going to come to another image here to show you. So you see three bubbles here. And so number 1 here on the right is to do with the events that happen around us, the events in our lives. And events means all the things happening around us. It could be things you hear in the world news. It could be things you see in the street. It could be things happening in your house. It could be even somebody's facial expression in front of you. These are all events. And there's not too much that we can do about the events which are around us. But what happens is that with our minds, we give meaning to these events. The event is outside of me. But with my own thinking, I'm giving meaning to that event. And this happens very, very quickly, instantaneously, in a nanosecond. As a result, an emotion is generated. And that also happens very, very fast. The event is outside of me, the meaning I give to it very quickly, and an emotion is generated. So event, meaning, emotion, event, meaning, emotion. That's the sequence within which it works. But because it happens very quickly, we live under an illusion. And that illusion is that the event has directly generated my emotions. So, for example, we say things like, I feel angry because of what that person said to me. I am worried because of what happened yesterday. I am upset because of such and such a situation. So, what we're saying there is the way I feel is a direct result of some event, but it is not true. You feel angry not because of what that person said, you feel angry because of the meaning you are giving to what he or she said. You're not worried because of what happened yesterday. You're worried because of the meaning you are giving to what happened yesterday. You're not upset because of XYZ. You're upset because of the meaning you are giving to XYZ. In other words, let me not be consumed by the event. Let me look at what is the meaning I am giving to events, and can I upgrade the meaning? Now, this is both bad news and good news for us. The bad news is there is no one else to blame from now on for your negative emotions. So, sorry about that. No one to blame. But the good news is exactly the same, which means no matter what happens outside of me, if I choose to give higher meaning to an event, the way I feel will be in my own hands. And so then the question arises, okay, so then let's have a look at meaning. What is meaning made up of? What are the constituents of meaning? What is behind meaning? What is the meaning of meaning? Now, there are three things which make up meaning, but we will look just at one of them for now. Let me just check in to see you're all still awake. I know I'm throwing lots of information at you. Jyoti Gaban, is it still okay to throw some
Yes,
more information?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we are ready.
Okay. We'll do a little meditation also in a little while to wrap up. But let's just look at one of the things which comprises meaning. And here we are. It is something called perspective. So this line, as you see here, is perspective, which is to do with the position from which you are seeing something. And this eye here represents the eye of your, let's say, your inner eye, the way by which you are seeing situations. So at the bottom here, let's say a person has some situation in their life, something a bit challenging, something which did not work out as planned, and he or she labels that as a problem. This is a problem. We have a problem. I have a problem. So if you label something as a problem and then put it in the sacred space of your consciousness, then of course it's going to color your feelings. You may have digestive issues, sleep disorders, if you become problem conscious. But if you raise your perspective, you ask yourself, okay, let me not see this as a problem, but if I were to see this as an obstacle instead, what would happen? Now, what's the difference between a problem and an obstacle? So, problem is you see something as stopping you. This is a problem. This is in my way. And you may feel, I can't go further. And what can I do? And there is no hope for me. If I see the same thing as an obstacle, I don't focus on the thing in my way. I ask myself, how can I get over this? How can I find a way around this? In other words, there's a shift in focus from seeing the thing to seeing myself. An obstacle is asking me to find a way over it. An obstacle is asking me to jump over it. Now, there are various ways to deal with obstacles, and individual situations can be different. But on the whole, what I find we really need to work on or imbibe within ourselves in order to deal with any obstacle in life is some form of virtue. This is the highest of all studies, the study of virtue. So, for example, in some situation, you may require an upgrade in your self-respect. You may need to work on your humility. Another situation requires you to work on courage. Some other situation, you have to develop some more determination and be more focused. Another situation, you have to practice some more forgiveness, or you have to learn to say sorry. Different situations, different relationships are asking me to upgrade my virtue level within myself. The more virtue you imbibe in your character, the more easily you can pass through situations when they come up in the future. And again, I have some experience of this, but also I have observed some great, great teachers and yogis over the years where they have developed, for example, the capacity to really love and accept others, and all their relationships become very smooth. Or developing the power to be able to forgive. Now, forgiveness is another whole issue to go into, but it is a quality of the strong. So I see the obstacle, I ask myself which virtue I require to overcome this particular obstacle. As the perspective continues to rise, now the same thing I see as an opportunity or a chance to apply virtue into my life. As the upgrade continues, the perspective rises. Now the same thing I see as a test. Now, do you like tests? Well, when we're at school, we generally don't, but tests are useful for us to know what I have learned and what I need to pay attention to. We take our car for a test, don't we? They check the wheels, the wipers, the brakes, and if something is not working, they fix it. We take our body for a test, which we call as a health checkup. And if there's an issue or problem somewhere, we find a way to deal with it. So too, when we are spiritually aware, we see situations as a test for the soul. I may think, for example, I am very honest. How do I know until a situation really tests me? I may think I'm a very easygoing person. How to know until somebody comes along who's opposite to me and tests me? I may think I'm very humble. How to know until a situation is there which tests that humility? So we won't be afraid of the situation. We'll ask ourselves, this is just a test for me to know myself. And then there is the final stage. The problem then becomes a gift. So a gift means I gained something useful. I learned something. By having that gift, I have grown and my life has become better. Now, some gifts come to you beautifully wrapped, lovely gold paper, a red ribbon. You open the gift and inside, not so useful. Other gifts may come to you badly wrapped, tatty, unattractive. But hold on just a moment. Open the gift, and there may be a real diamond there for you. So, too, if we have this kind of awareness that as long as I am honestly deploying virtue into my life and into my relationships, life will always present me with gifts at the end of the day. Sometimes you have to wait a little time, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes even longer. But as they say, dheeraj ka phal meetha. The fruit of patience is very sweet. And so in this way, by upgrading my perspective, I'm giving new and better meaning to the event. And since I'm changing the meaning I give to the event, my feelings, my emotional state will also change. Hence, amongst those who are on the spiritual journey, it is said, such a person never has any problems. It's not that difficulties don't come, but he or she chooses not to see the situation as a problem, but uses it to grow, to learn, and to continue to evolve. So I think I need to just pause there. There were a few other things to say, but now I think it's time for a meditation. And then I believe there's a few minutes then for some discussion or questions and answers. So let's do a little meditation now. And I'd ask you, if you would, to have your back straight and your feet flat on the floor, if that's comfortable for you. I'll speak out a simple guiding commentary and also play a little bit of music, which can just help us to be a bit more focused. Okay, so this is meditation to experience inner peace. So the world outside of me is the world of sound, the world of movement, the world of action. And there is little I can do about the world outside. But the world inside me is the world of my thoughts, my feelings, my experiences. My inner world is in my own hands. And so I choose to value my thoughts. I choose to value the feelings I produce. Let me go to that place of peace and stillness within myself. I ask myself, who am I? Behind the roles and the responsibilities, who am I? Behind the masks, behind the labels, who am I? There is more to me than roles, labels, and masks. And when I look in the mirror, I see the reflection of my body, my face. But there is more to me than simply this. And so I bring my attention up towards my face, and to the center of the forehead. And here I picture a radiant star of peaceful light. A wonderful star of peaceful energy in the center of the forehead. And this tiny point of living light, this is me. This is I, the eternal soul. I, the soul, I am living spiritual energy. I, the soul, I am eternal. I can never die. deep inside, I, the soul, there is a reservoir of inner peace. And this peace has always been inside me. Let me stay in this awareness. I am light. I am eternal. I am peaceful. I, the soul, I am free. Shanti.
Many,
Thank you.
many thanks, Brother Yogesh, for the wonderful and practical sharing. You have shared insights on being a master than a victim. And this is possible with spiritual upgradation, and then rest all will be very smooth. And then there will be the experience of contentment and success. So I guess this is the ultimate upgrade. I'm sure upgrade is successful by now. There are some questions which have come from the participants and they have posted on the chat box to me. So, how often should we be upgrading ourselves? Won't it be a tiring process to keep upgrading? And is there any end point to it?
Well, it becomes natural. Um, just like anything you want to do and to progress in, regularity in the practice is important. Whether you want to learn a language or learn a musical instrument, so too when you start practicing meditation and spiritual study, when it becomes part of your daily program, then it becomes natural and the attitude of learning is activated. When you have an attitude of learning, you naturally will grow and upgrade day to day life. And then the sky is the limit. You enjoy life much more. It won't feel like hard work. It will feel like, life becomes like a dance. Life feels like a game. And that's when you really start enjoying life. So I would say that making it natural, and also it helps to be amongst others who also are interested in growing. Then you feel like, you're part of a community and you support each other, you help each other, which makes it even more fun.
Thank you for the answer. And another question which has come up is in the current times, there is a lot of content out there. People compare one another to a portrayal of their peers on various digital platforms, and which gets them really down and tends to hold them back in life as well. So, how can we overcome that?
Let me check if I understood the question. Can you repeat the first couple of sentences? I missed something there.
Yeah, the current times, there is a lot of content out there, and
Uh,
people compare one another to a portrayal of their peers on various digital platforms, which gets them really down, and it tends to hold them back in life as well. So how can one overcome that?
yeah, well, as I was saying earlier, what people throw at you, what people do around you, you cannot control. What you choose to do, you can control. And so, what we study in Raj Yoga is this, that let me look inward rather than being concerned with measuring my validation, my self value, my esteem by what people do and say. First of all, let me be introverted, understand my true identity. And then you realize that everything you're looking for, which is contentment and self respect, inner peace, actually it's already there. It just has to be realized and woken up. And then it's a very different life to the life outside where people are constantly comparing and competing with each other, which creates a lot of tiredness. So, extroversion or introversion, that's really my choice. And all the treasures lie within the self. And so, realizing that and going on that journey frees us from being caught up in the game of comparing and competing with other people.
Thank you. And there is one more question in the chat box. The question is, often I know I need to do different but cannot. How to overcome that obstacle?
Yeah, it sounds like a question of willpower. And I think for all of us, there are things which you want to do, you feel you should be doing, but you're unable to do because willpower is lacking. So the thing to do is to check, where is there a leakage of my inner power, and to learn to save that. And that saved energy will, you can then re-employ that as willpower, determination, focus, and so on. So I suggest two things, or two words beginning with E. Try to be more economical and more essenceful. First with your words, but then also with your thoughts. Words are easier. So being more essenceful, what you wish to say to someone, instead of saying it in 20 words, can you say it in 10 words? So you save the energy of 10 words. And then being more economical, choosing what to say, when to say, which person to say it, and how to say it. So by practicing these two things, we save the energy of the soul. And that saved energy, it accumulates in the mind as the power of silence. That power of silence then will come to your aid when you need willpower to do what you feel you should be doing.
Thanks. And the feeling from the person who has asked this question is as though some force which is taking over at that time. So I'm sure being these two E's will help. Is there anything to add other than this?
just to say, these this force, we call this as our sanskars, habits of the past, which can, come and almost like take you hostage. It takes time to overcome them. The sanskars, these tendencies, they manifest in the mind in the form of emotions and thoughts. The mind is a child, but the other part of your consciousness is your buddhi, or your intellect. And generally, for most people, the mind is a wild child, and the buddhi, the intellect, is a weak parent. So the child is controlling the parent. So, what to do? Don't strangle the child, don't hit the child, but empower the buddhi, empower the intellect. When the intellect is empowered, then it can guide, discipline the mind properly. How to empower the intellect? Spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom, and regular systematic meditation. These two things make the intellect strong, and then the mind can be disciplined in the right way.
Thank you. And there are two questions. I guess they are similar to each other. So the question is how to control overthinking. I always have a problem of overthinking. And also during practice, thoughts are coming like a chain. What to do?
Yeah. Well, I would say two things. One is what we call as the practice of applying the full stop. So, whenever you notice your mind running off and overthinking, practicing mind, full stop. It's a question of practice. Stop there and try to redirect the direction of the thoughts into something constructive, positive, and meaningful. This is one thing. Second, which is the long term practice, is what is my need behind all these thoughts? What is it that the soul is looking for behind all this thinking? And usually it is looking for security, looking for peace, looking for acceptance or validation, looking for love, looking for something. So let me work on meeting the need behind all this running around behavior of the mind. And that's what happens in meditation. In meditation, you're actually watering these seeds of truth, the seeds of love, the seeds of peace inside you, and you're bringing them out. So the more full you feel inside, the less the mind will create noise in the form of thoughts, desires, and emotions. And then the practice, which we haven't come to this subject today, is to live in the state of soul consciousness as you go through the day-to-day life. See how long you can maintain that awareness. I am a peaceful soul. Another day, I am a joyful soul. I am a powerful soul. Different days taking up different points. See how long you can maintain that awareness as you go through the day. And this is what will help you to become internally full, and therefore the mind will become pacified.
Thank you. Just now, another question has come up. I think this can be the last question we take up. It's a bit longer, but still, I guess it's very practical. So I'm asking you as a follow up question on information overload in today's opinionated society, with the presence of different social medium, misleading information makes one's minds biased without further thinking. So, how to approach non biased information without tiring ourselves by comparing
Yeah.
different stories and opinions.
Yeah, what we need here is greater context. And one of the things that we do, and some of you may know in our basic course in the Raja Yoga study is we understand that the human race is currently passing through the period of darkness, essentially inner spiritual darkness. And this is resulting in all the confusion in the world, prejudices, biases, and all kinds of hidden agendas. And if we simply expose ourselves in that and try and find truth, it can be a rather, sticky situation. So the thing to do is to learn to start the day in the right way. As I always use this little image with the three fingers. First, connect with yourself. When you wake up in the morning, engage with yourself. Be in that state of soul consciousness. Experience the peace inside you. And the second finger, engage with or connect with the divine source. Experience your private and personal sense of connectedness with the higher being. What this does is it makes your mind very settled and your intellect clear. When your heart is full, the mind becomes peaceful. When the mind is peaceful, your intellect becomes clear. Then the third finger represents the life outside of you, which could be the news, the family, the weather, the traffic, all of those things. If I've done the work of really creating the platform for the day, which is connecting with myself, connecting with the source, then when I connect with life, my power to discern will be clear, and I will know what is useful and what is not useful, and I won't be lost in the information, the misinformation, and the disinformation, which is floating around freely on all the social media platforms, as you say. So this should be like a daily practice for a person. Fix the inside first before you engage with the outside.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful sharing and answering our questions. I'm sure everyone is benefited. So just to sum up, I would like to say a few points which we take from today's session. First of all, solve yourself and not the situation. Let the journey be from being to doing. And thirdly, life is the mind game. If I take care of myself there in the mind, I will upgrade myself in adversity. The next one being, when life throws fertilizer at you, think, how can I grow through it? And do not look at the event, upgrade the meaning you give to the situations. And do not stop at obstacles, for they ask you to find a way over them. And upgrade of virtues within me will go over a long time, helping me in the future as well. So it is the highest study. So many thanks, Brother Yogesh, for an insightful sharing that you gave us all. And I'm sure all the participants have benefited. And I request everyone, if you can switch on your videos for a while and wave a hand of appreciation and gratitude to Brother Yogesh for joining us all the way from Istanbul, Turkey. And he had so many engagements today. But as we just exchanged a word before we started the session, that easy but busy. So, easy and busy life. And thank you for benefiting many. Just to end the session, I would like to announce the future events. Um, we will be holding a series of talks in the future as well. The next one would be next Saturday, 3rd of July, by Jim Ryan. He's an international speaker, management consultant, and author. And I'm sure we are all looking forward for it. The topic would be dealing with difficult and messy relationships. And then a talk by Mike George on 10th of July, Saturday again. And the topic would be living and leading with purpose Mike George is an author, management tutor, coach, mentor, trainer, and a retreat leader. So I invite you all to join us for the next 2 Saturdays as well and be with us. You are also welcome to follow us on the social media, which are being mentioned over here, for the Raj Yoga Center as well as the Raj Yoga Center for Self Development Oman and Doha Meditation Space. Many thanks for being with us tonight, and we will make sure that we will keep upgrading ourselves without being tired. So, have a wonderful evening and enjoy the whole week of learning and upgrading. Many thanks.
The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Situated at the heart of the diverse, fast-paced, and magnificent city of Dubai, the Raj Yoga Center has become a favorite venue for people from all walks of life, seeking a common experience of peace, happiness, and well-being. Located within reach of the residential and commercial districts of Karama, Raj Yoga Center is easily accessible and has spacious rooms for conducting a wide range of courses, public events, workshops, seminars, retreats, and numerous social activities. It also houses a quiet room, providing a suitable ambience for anyone wanting to unwind, relax, and recharge. The center provides an ideal environment for enhancing the well-being of every individual by promoting spiritual understanding, integrity in leadership, and evaluated actions towards building a better society. It offers a practical method of meditation that guide individuals to better understanding of their inner strengths and universal truths. Regular practice relaxes the mind and nurtures a healthy balance between one's inner and outer worlds. As part of its ongoing community engagement, several activities are held regularly, such as the Raj Yoga Meditation, Virtue Cafe, Monday Talks, Women Empowerment, and Enlightened Kids. Raj Yoga Meditation is a week-long course designed to help individuals learn and practice the essentials of Raj Yoga Meditation. Raj Yoga essentially is yoga of the mind, where inner empowerment begins. Monday Talks is an hour-long session held on Mondays every month, focused on practical solutions to everyday issues. They are designed to inform, enrich, and inspire. These talks are facilitated by experienced professionals who have been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for years. Women empowerment. A woman is much greater than the role she plays. By attending these sessions, women rediscover different tools and techniques for self-esteem, time management, and self-empowerment. Enlightened Kids is a workshop held once every month for children of all nationalities between the ages of 6 and 12 years. It is designed to help develop young minds in being more caring towards each other and to create a value-based society. Virtue Cafe is a meeting in a cafe-like setting for young adults to explore, express, and exchange virtues in a creative, meaningful, and yet relaxed and engaging way. They participate and learn from conversations and activities and return committed to applying virtues in their life. Raj Yoga Center holds meditation classes and self-development talks in the Arabic language, facilitated by Arab practitioners of Raj Yoga meditation. Over the years, Raj Yoga Center has hosted many successful events in partnership with various community organizations and key government initiatives, which helped many to gain positive perspectives towards personal, family, and professional life. It has held various activities with the Dubai Police, the Federal Transport Authority, local dignitaries, as well as with some private organizations and companies. During the International Day of Yoga, year after year, the Raj Yoga Meditation Center plays a key role in facilitating experiential meditation sessions. In order to cater to the ever-expanding community in Dubai, the Raj Yoga Center has inspired the opening of a meditation center in Jumeirah Lake Towers called the Meditation Space to cater to the residents and the professionals situated in New Dubai. It offers meditation courses for beginners, holds self-development talks and workshops, and as the very name suggests, has a space especially dedicated for silent reflections and meditation. Visit the Raj Yoga Center in Karama or the Meditation Space in JLT for an awakening experience.